With capitalism and like individualism, we've got to the point where if you have money, you can shape the world the way you exactly want, and you don't really have to listen to people you don't want to listen to, especially when you have money, because it's like, you're going to tell me what I have to do.
Yeah.
You know what? You just won't come to my party. I will just hang out with my friends that think just like I do, and we can go all have fun in our own areas.
Yeah.
What's up, y'all? It's your host, Sensei NK, and I'm back in another episode. I'm not my co-host, but I'm with
Suleiman Jaffer.
You know, before we start, what does that name mean?
Oh, are we going to start unpacking that? All right. So Suleiman means man of peace. It comes from Aramaic or Hebrew name, Shalomo or Solomon. It's pretty much the same. Solomon is Greek. Shalomo is the Hebrew version of it. Suleiman is the Arabic and Aramaic version of it. So a man of peace. I am a man of peace.
Hey.
But we're about to talk about war.
That's pretty ironic. You know, Solomon, you have been one of the more interesting people that I've met in my time in this university where I'm supposed to be learning about like things and stuff of that nature. I feel like you look at the world completely different than a lot of my classmates, a lot of my peers, for a few reasons. One, I know since you've like lived multiple lives. Two, you try to like force yourself to like expand no matter what type of area you are in, right? So it has led you to a place of like not really like an old man, like wise, like being an old wise man type of thing, but it's a very much, I feel like your energy is more of like a calm before the storm in every single aspect of it, right? So let's go from the beginning. What shaped you as your time as a kid to make you so like open and just so understanding of everything around you?
In the beginning, I remember that. Who was it? Was it Mugabe or was it the South African? Yeah, in the beginning. I was born in Ethiopia, in the capital of Addis. Growing up, when I was 5, I already moved to Yemen, which is my parents' place. My mom's grandparents, my mom's family live in Yemen. So I moved there to kind of learn the language, to get to know my culture for a little while. Then I moved on and I moved to Israel, learn the language, and then moved back to Ethiopia.
Why'd you keep moving?
At first it was some unrest started in Yemen, so we just like went to the neighboring country.
As a young like child, like living in that, did you feel like anything was wrong? Like, were you able to like peep that things were going on?
I mean, I remember it. That's all I can do, right? Like I remember it, but there's no comprehension to it. It was just like,
things are happening.
Pretty cool. Yeah, like you get to see the Red Sea, you get to see what do you call it, the Indian Ocean. Pretty nice. And also in Israel, there's a big population of Ethiopian Jews, so like it didn't feel like an outside place. It just felt like a desert part of Ethiopia, basically. So it was not bad.
But continue.
And then I moved back to Ethiopia. That's where I spent most of my life, in Shashamane. You ever heard of Shashamane?
I have not. What is that?
Shashamane, bring it, Ethiopia. You don't know that song?
Bro.
Oh, you got to listen to that song.
Don't even do that. Don't do that. So.
It's a Rastafarian destination. Kind of to explain what Shashamane is like. So basically, the king of Ethiopia, the last emperor of Ethiopia, king of the kings, Haile Selassie, if you heard of him, he went to Jamaica during the time of drought. Right when he landed, coincidence, I guess, right when he landed, when he stepped his foot outside the airplane, it started raining. And some
people were looking at him like a god, huh?
Some people looked at him as a god. The fact that Ethiopia was not colonized and he was able to defeat the Italians the second time and become part of the League of Nations at that time, right? League of Nations, now the UN, the only African country, and be able to stand up to the colonizers and the people who were calling him the N-word when he was doing speeches and standing up for black people. It kind of gave them that ideology of like, oh, he is the one, like he is Jah Rastafari. Jah means, you know, Jesus, God, and that associated with that. And his call, when he heard that, at first he said, hey, yeah, I am an emperor, and God put me here, because like that's what emperors do. They justify
the reason why they're ahead.
Yeah, and he said, everybody come to Ethiopia. You are welcome to come here. All the descendants of slaves in the Caribbeans, in the Americas, everywhere, wherever you are, you can come back and we can give you land. And the people who listened to him were what we call now Rastafarians, under the name Rastafari. Rastafari is his first name, and they call themselves Rastafarians. And they come to Ethiopia. He gives them a land, and that land is Shashamane. And to this day, there's a big population of Rastafarians there. It's a very spiritual community. They are kind of Eastern philosophy of black people, I would say. They're very passive. They're vegans. Some of them are vegetarians, and they grow everything out. God gave us all of this too.
Was it one of their rules, like they can't really harm anything?
Yeah, exactly. And they don't, like, they smoke ganja, but like for ceremonial and religious purposes. They don't smoke ganja like we do, but you know what I mean?
I feel that.
And yeah, they kind of follow Eastern philosophy, as well as a very straightforward Pan-African movement as well. The Pan-African movement is, you know, the independence of Africa and bringing back the slave descendants from wherever they are to Ethiopia and to reunite.
Do you think they'll ever get to that point?
I don't think so, but
how come?
I mean, I'm here. I lived in Ethiopia. I lived in the U.S. I like the U.S. There's so much opportunities.
Okay.
I've been making money. I'm like, I like it here. So, and I can talk about, there's free speech here, freedom of expression. I don't think we'll get to that anytime soon, but I do believe we'll get to our version of that, because I don't really believe. If you unpack democracy, it is not universal.
Okay.
It's not universal. I mean,
like in the context of like between each individual, their own their own freedoms are like different.
Yeah, like without unpacking it, this is how I'm gonna put it. Every society has their own values and philosophies in life, and trying to apply Western philosophies to Eastern or to Africa, to whatever it is, it's not gonna fully stand and work, because in the name of democracy, we still have tyranny, and you know. So like I feel like we will, like in our time when we are out of poverty, we will come up with something that's gonna work for us. Until then, we're just gonna fight for the next day and eat food from hand to mouth. Like, yeah,
that's actually a very interesting point when you were talking about trying to implement different philosophies to different places. Okay, so with America, well, at least like the Western world, there's a heavy emphasis on individualism.
Yeah.
In the context of the Eastern philosophy, where it's communalism and stuff of that nature, right? And it's kind of interesting, because I feel like individualism doesn't like work really, because it's like, I feel like one of the reasons why everyone is so like depressed and sad now is because of like the forceful individualization. Wow, I cannot speak. Just the heavy emphasis on themselves and themselves being the only thing that matters, right? And I feel like that detachment from a society and the people is what really drags us down in the long term for a few reasons. One, I feel like even if you had all the money and the time and the space and all that stuff, you will still want to be in contact with people. But with like the emphasis of like money, for example, we have used money as a way to like detach ourselves from people. Like, for example, you don't have to be friends with like the barista at Starbucks. You can just have your headphones in and you just tell them what you want. give them the money and just like move. Or for another example, like how McDonald's has like you can just walk to like little kiosks and you can like order your food and then they'll call you, you can grab your food and go off. But you do not have to have an interaction with anybody if you do not want to, right? There's this other study they did where they had people in a taxi, right? Yeah. They had poor people in the taxi, middle class people, and then rich people in the taxi. And with the higher up, with the more money that the people have, the less likelihood that they were going to either interact with the people that are in the taxi or the driver that was driving them anywhere. They didn't feel like they didn't need to, the more money that you had made, or the less money that they assumed that you had in the context of the status of everyone else in the car. They didn't really feel the need to have to even interact with them.
Yeah, I mean, I find myself in the same predicament as well. Coming from a very social way of life, let's call it that. Like I was in the public, most of the time I do a lot of hosting back home. I do wedding decorations and host the weddings and kind of MC them most of the time. And I knew a lot of people, and whenever I'm in Shashamane, even if I go now, a lot of people recognize me, say hi. I would I would go have conversations with them, and that's the kind of life I was living, even though I was like 16, 15. Like I knew a lot of people, and that was like my way of life. I had that social butterfly mentality where, okay, I'm gonna go talk to people and learn more from them. Like I'm always trying to learn new things and just keep asking questions.
Make sure
and then
like a little bit up.
I came to the US and I find myself like becoming slowly introverted, antisocial, and if I can avoid interactions with people, I can avoid them. Like I can see myself doing that as well.
Just going out your way to not
exactly
interact.
Yeah.
How does that shape the way that you like think? Wait, do you feel like everyone around you is like just dumb? Is that why you try and like limit the amount of interaction? Because like me personally, I hate having conversations with dumb people. Or like, let's say I'm at like a table with like other people that they're like talking, right? And like their conversations that they're having is not that the what they're talking about is dumb. It's just like the way that they're talking about it is just dumb. From the misrepresentation of the facts, from the glossing over of like context, just like different things of that nature, where it gets to me and I'm like, you're not even having an actual conversation. You're butchering this interaction that you're having right now. So no, I'm not gonna interact with you because bro, you're an idiot.
Like for me, I don't know how to explain it, but like there's definitely a line. Like there's definitely a line where you're like, oh, look at the fact right here. Dr. Google says this, and you're saying this, and you still want to be like, what do you call it? Just just for the sake of argument, you're just gonna keep arguing with me. I'm not gonna respond to you. I'm just gonna stay silent most of the time.
Because now, if I hit you, now I'm the bad guy, right?
But I don't really judge them. Like I have friends that do that all the time. We'll be sitting there having conversation, and all of a sudden, like topics of politics, topic of some, not opinions, but more facts. Based opinions matter at, they will start arguing. I just like sit there and watch them. But in terms of like something I don't agree with, I like listening to something I don't agree with. A lot of people get mad at me for saying that sometimes. I'll be huh? Like, I mean, I'll sit there and watch a 1 hour lecture of Donald Trump ranting about America. I would watch that. I would watch something like the values, like I don't agree with Andrew Tate, but I'm gonna see what books is he reading to conclude what he's talking about, and I'm gonna watch him. Doesn't mean like I'm gonna side with him. So I would never side. Sometimes it does affect me, but I never side with any side. I just like to, it's like a tennis watch, back and forth.
Oh God. You know, that's actually pretty interesting. How has your way that you see politics here been shaped from your time as a child soldier? Can
you kind of clarify that question a little bit more?
how do you see the way people interact with like the government and the economy and things of that nature from your own perspective, being the fact that you had to like fight for freedom and stuff of that nature, and go into detail on your time as a soldier?
Okay. I would say now sitting here and thinking about it compared to when I was young and did not know anything, I have no a real sense of what values I should uphold. It's a lot different of what I think of what, what I was involving in. Because at that time, it's like freedom, like I'm going to fight for my people, my dad, my everybody, and they got me mad, I'm going to do this. And as a kid, I used to get mad very easily, so, it was easy to get to me. But in terms of like picking up a weapon and doing things, I never really got involved in any of it. Most of it was me doing intelligence. Most of the time.
How did you get into it? First off,
I knew a lot of languages and I can talk to people. Okay. And all I had to do was just be a scout. Scout out areas where we could do ambush attacks. You could do like inside woods kind of ambush attacks from like top of trees, or you could do like block out area perimeters and have if I don't draw it out, it's gonna be hard. So like finding those areas where you could trap enemies, because like we don't have the capacity to fight at full strength. So all you can do is bring advantage to your home turf, right? Of course. And that's what we were doing. And then just first aid treatments, like you just like, oh, okay, I don't have any gauze to wrap this around with. Let me just put this on. How am I gonna avoid snake bites? How can I do this? How can I do that? Like things like that. Just like really small things. They wouldn't let you take weapons and do anything, even though you practice doing that. So you would practice, like you're just holding gun on the ground, crawling and shit. But none of it really is applicable for us at that time. When I look at it now, in terms of like the money, the politics, and the things that are going on back home, I realize that even though there are things that we didn't agree with and that we wanted to fight against, but the things that we wanted to fight against and the thing that got us mad are artificial.
What do you mean?
What I mean is that somebody wants us to fight. I'm not going to sit here and play the blaming game, but somebody wants us to fight, because when one thing stops, another one starts. And when one thing stops, another one starts. That's what has been happening. So when I was in 7th grade or 6th grade, I think, I can't recall like, years, like date, like 2016, 2017, because we live in a whole different like calendar.
Yeah, it's a different calendar.
Yeah, so like I'm not going to sit here and do math, but what do you call it? It started with representatives, so they started like firing imams. Like imams are not hired.
What's that?
So imam means a religious leader. It's like a pastor of
okay.
They start firing imams.
Like firing as in like you don't have your job no more?
Yeah, like you're no longer imam, we're going to hire our own people. And then they started doing that, and they start putting like cabinet, what do you call them?
Cabinet members?
Yeah, cabinet members, right? It's the same thing here too? Okay. Yeah, they basically put those people as imams. They don't know anything about the religion very well. Like you'll see them at Shisha Lounge yesterday, and today they are on Friday. They're doing like, their own thing, like trying to talk about Allah and shit, And people were very against that, and they protested. Mostly it was peaceful protest, and they put together a committee that can go to the, like, what happened with that was a lot of people start protesting. We sent a committee there. They arrested the committee and then called them, oh, you guys are trying to start an Islamic government and terrorize the people here, which is so messed up.
What does that mean?
Our country is not even like that.
What do you mean? You're trying to start an Islamic?
Yeah, is Islamic government. You
Mm.
guys are trying to start Islamic government. It's copy paste of what like the Western world does to the minority Muslims,
Mhm.
and Ethiopia is not known for that anyway. So we kind of are balanced. We have a majority Christian nation,
Mhm.
and but we're like 42%. 62 is out in 62 is Christian, 42 is Muslims, and then we have Jews. So the 42 and what?
You don't need to do the math.
I'm a math person. Like 8% or so.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember.
Mhm.
But it's not really applicable kind of thing. It was very hysterical. People laughed at that and demanded the people to come out. It took 4 years for the government to let them out. And right when
Out of
that
where?
settled, from
Out of the
jail.
prisons.
And
Okay.
it's not like a normal prison. There are special prisons for that. Like, they when they don't agree with you politically, you're gonna go into these dark cells where you are tortured every single day. Your eyes are always covered, even though it's a dark, cold room. You don't see sunlight at all the entire time you are underground.
What that
And-
does to the body
yeah.
is crazy.
And they will like tie on your balls. They will tie a 1 liter water bottle. Yeah. And they will just beat you up. And you move a little. And, yeah. Just thinking about it,
Yeah,
right?
no, that's kinda crazy.
It's just cruel as hell. They
Mhm.
were doing that to just random, like, I wouldn't call them random, but like, these are random citizens that we selected to go be a committee. And when that kind of settled down,
Were the
and eased down,
were the committee members like kind of forced to push a different type of like agenda?
they actually made a documentary.
Okay.
They at gunpoint they were telling them what to say, like a script. Are you trying to start Islamic government in this country? Yes. Like they're literally tied, and they had to confess to that, and made a propaganda documentary. Like you would think it's China or like North Korea and not Africa. They were doing all of that, but people already knew that because it got leaked. One person, I don't know who it was, but in the middle of the night at like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., they leaked some of the deleted footage of them forcing them to do it.
Oh wow.
So people were
Okay.
like, it's called ETV, Ethiopian television. ETV, Leba, ETV, Leba. It means like you thieves, liars.
Oh wow.
That's kind of what it means.
Mm.
And that's how it started. But once like the government settled that thing down, another group starts protesting. The Oromo group start protesting, and it got violent really quick. Then once that's like slowing down, in the Tigray region, another conflict starts, and Eritrea gets involved in, and a whole fight happens. That settles down again in the Oromia region. Shit starts to happen. It keeps going and going and going. Later on, I learned that like the guerrilla groups or like opposition parties or anyone that is willing to start a conflict with the government or with the people is funded by Egypt through Uncle Sam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that, funded?
So one of the two reasons. One is economic, and the second one is just helping an ally, which is Egypt. Egypt kiss Uncle Sam ass. We knew that.
Hey, that's a whole other conversation.
So,
But continue.
Before all of this, I think I was in 3rd grade or so. Like I remember starting the Unthinkable project. They did. They were creating this huge, dam on the Nile River. 80% of the Nile River starts in Ethiopia. Yeah. Because we're at a very high area, like a high elevation. Ethiopia and Kenya, Uganda area is a very highland area in the equator, which is the best temperatures in the whole of Africa. You'll find it there, like the genetic diversity in terms of plants, in terms of animals. It's pretty dope there. So they started building a dam funded by who? By the people themselves. So
Okay.
like the government, there was this very smart ass dude. I know like he's kind of trash in a way because like
What do you mean?
whatever gets in his way, he will destroy it. But he's
How-
a forward-looking man.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
he's the
yeah.
dictator, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, he's a dictator, but like for his people, like you know, he will.
He's
lay
with his
down their
people.
life.
Yeah.
Just don't go against him; he will fight for you, kind of person.
Mhm,
It's called
mhm.
Meles Zenawi. His tactic, he personally designed the dam,
Okay.
and most of the electricity that comes to Ethiopia, the energy consumption is from outside that we buy, and we have really small dams here and there. But with the Nile River, because it is the life of Egypt, we were scared to do anything about it. We could have gotten so much energy for the country and more.
Hmm.
So
If you're able to like be able to hone the power of the Nile, yeah.
yeah, because I think
They write stories and religions over that.
yeah, like 80,000 megawatts like a year is like generated from that dam. It hasn't started yet, and they were gonna build 3 or 4 artificial lakes for biodiversity and do a lot of things. One of the main
Would they be able to make like all of Africa a safari?
I'm
With that
not
type of
sure.
water?
Not really.
Really? They wouldn't be able to fix deserts?
They probably will. Like it's,
That's what I'm.
it's
That's
the
what I'm
Nile.
saying. Yeah.
Like
Okay.
it comes from Congo, it comes from Sudan. Like there's the White Nile, the Black Nile, and the Blue Nile,
Mhm.
and then it merged together to go to Egypt, the Nile River.
Mhm.
So that's a lot of water.
Yeah.
The Black Nile comes from Ethiopia, and from Ethiopia, why it's called the Black Nile is because it takes fertile soil with it from Ethiopia. That's one thing that's like
Is that
destroying us.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really bad. Yeah.
And that's the reason why Egypt was able to create whatever they created to this day,
Mhm.
is because they can grow food around the banks of Nile. If
Mhm.
you can see the map of their civilization right now at this point, you will see green and very populated area around the Nile, and then boom, desert everywhere else.
Mhm.
So that's a lively matter for them.
Mhm.
Even though the fertile soil comes from us, they see it as okay. This is a God-given gift
This
to
is
us
the way.
for
Yeah,
us
that's
to
the way
live.
God did it.
And he wanted to
Is
build
that-
a dam.
Is that part of? Oh, and he wanted to cut off all like the water from actually.
Not all the water.
But whatever they deemed amount they want to cut off from them.
Yeah, it doesn't cut that much according to him. It
Yeah,
doesn't cut
that's-
any water from them. It
Mhm.
only generates the water and then leaves it their way.
Okay.
But the main part is the fertile soil. And
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
taking it back and distributing all across Ethiopia so that people
That
can
would be
grow food.
crazy.
Yeah. So that's what he's been doing. And that's his goal. So he thought, if I can get this built, usually African leaders, like when they need funding, they go to the Swiss bank and
Mhm.
take out loans, or they would like get aid funding from the Western world or China and build that dam.
Mhm.
But this time around, he's like, oh, okay, if some Western contractor does the job here, like our people are not willing to defend it if something would happen to it, or plus like the Western agenda will take over on this like
On the side,
project,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So he said, okay, what I have to do is make the people pay. So government bonds, people donating a lot of money. The rich Ethiopians are donating a lot of money. The poor ones are buying bonds or sending like 20
Whatever they
birr,
can,
whatever
just
they
whatever they can.
And now there's a sense of like ownership to every Ethiopian. So once the dam is built, they know they can get that bond money back.
Mhm,
So he
mhm.
kind of economically tied them to it, and now they are willing to die for it.
Yeah, real quick. Other than Nigerians, the only people that are just as prideful as us It has to be Ethiopians. It literally has to be
It is
Ethiopians. Because the amount of Ethiopians that I know that will really be like, nah, bro, I'm not no hoe. You're not gonna do this to me. Type of energy. Oh, that's one thing I'll always respect out of all Ethiopian folk. The way they're able to just stand with their chest. But
Definitely. But yeah, that caused a lot of friction. Sudan and Ethiopia, Sudan and Egypt do not want us to build this dam. As you heard Trump said, oh, they're gonna blow up the dam. Like once it's finished, they will see the effect of it in less than a year, and they'll blow it up.
I mean, yeah,
like that's what America wants too. So they know Egypt cannot stand a fight. Like if it's like no one involved, Ethiopia versus Egypt, we will win. we kicked out the Italians in 1915 or something like that. We kicked out the Italians in the 1930s again. And we were not colonized. We kicked Rome's butt in the 1700s, 1600s. We were able to destroy them, Rome. And so there's a pride that comes with it, and that warrior mentality.
You would have to just kill all of us over this.
We are the second most populous country in Africa after Nigeria, of course. We're 110k million, 10k. And that's probably triple the population of Egypt. So it's over for them.
Oh wow!
Unless they get aid from the United States,
other countries and stuff like that. Would U.S. want to step in?
They would.
They would immediately.
Egypt played a big part in creating Israel with the U.S. Egypt was the first country to announce and accept, let alone not Western countries, none of that. Egypt, the ones that were fighting in Jordan against them, supporting the Palestinian government.
Oh wow!
Those are the people that first recognized Israel as a country, because they had a puppet government back then, before the Arab Spring. But that's a whole new topic.
Most definitely.
But Ethiopia weakened and divided is the best way to weaken them and take advantage of that dam or destroy it and not get any kind of response to it. And that's what's been happening. I remember watching the parliament during the Arabic Spring. They arrested his ass. He's Muslim Brotherhood Party. You ever heard of that?
No, I have not. What is that?
I think it was. Wait, was it Mohammed Morsi of Egypt? I think so.
I have heard that name.
He got arrested and died in prison.
Yeah. I've heard that.
He
name.
wants to start a what do you call it? Islamic government in Egypt, even though it's a democracy.
Why is that so bad?
Because it's bad. Because the Egypt people think Egypt is a Muslim country, but there's Coptic Christians, there's Orthodox Christians in that country that date back.
That just doesn't even represent the country to just make it if they were to do that.
As a Muslim, I can tell you this: most of Muslim countries do not really represent the general Muslim population, unless it's Malaysia or Indonesia. But those are fine. The Arab world, they want to you know how they use the constitution to kind of work around and suppress people in Africa. They use Islam as a way to
so it's the butchered version.
Yeah,
it's the butchered version of the Quran.
So, where in the Quran does say women shall not drive? Saudi Arabia. Listen, Crown Prince Salman. When does it say that?
Oh wow. They're not gonna let me post this in their country. They're just gonna just yellow ban me real quick. That's just what they'll do. Fuck
I
it.
go for pilgrimage. What do you call it? The Hajj. I can't even say the word. Pilgrimage. How do you say the word? You know when Muslims go Hajj.
It's not. Oh, the pilgrimage.
Say it again.
Pilgrimage. Wow, now I can't say it. Pilgrimage. Wow.
Pilgrimage.
That's just wrong. That is just wrong.
English sucks, man. Talk to me in Amharic, Arabic, Oromo, or Hebrew.
Pilgrimage. Pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Fucking dick.
I go there, and
God.
the next thing you know, I never come back.
Like, no, respectfully.
Ooh, bring him personally to me.
Oh.
I heard the DaDojo podcast.
Like, bro, I remember when I was in DC and I went to like the Saudi Arabian like embassy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people told me like, oh yeah, no, the rules in their crib is the same rules on that embassy. So
Yeah.
move correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I thought they was bullshitting. No, this is for
serious.
real as hell.
It's serious. Like the
But back to what you're saying.
Yeah, the most people that like hate them are like mostly Muslims. Actually, literally, like America is buddy with them. Like most of the Western world is because they have the oil.
That oil nice, bro. I don't
they
want to tell
move
you, bro.
gas, man. They move gas. So yeah, like we know the real value of Islam and what the kind of values they have and how they exploit the name of Islam into tyranny. So yeah. That's why we don't like them. I don't know how I got there, but yeah, that's why it's bad. Like the way we live life, even in Ethiopia, is there has not been any kind of hate towards religion because of religion. I grew up going to the neighbors when we celebrating like our version of Christmas and Eastern, and like they will prepare halal food for us, or we'll eat with them, and when we have holidays they will come, eat with us. When we have weddings, we'll, like, if it's a Muslim wedding, we'll invite someone who's Christian to say, like to do the Christian way. Ethiopian Orthodox Church is its own category of church, which has its own kind of I wouldn't say its own kind of teaching, but yeah, it's not the Eastern Orthodoxy. It comes from the Coptic line of through Jerusalem to Egypt to Ethiopia.
So is that kind of like the reason why people say Christianity is not a white man's religion? Because doesn't most of it come from Ethiopia as well?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in Ethiopia, when it comes to religion, especially with Judaism, Christianity, the Abrahamic religion, and Islam, there has no like Western influence to it. It's like with Judaism, there were Judas people already, like they used to call themselves the burnt Israelites. Like Ethiopians used to call themselves the lost tribe of Israel because the line of Sheba. I don't know how authentic that story is, but that's what
they believe. Yeah, no, that's
if Queen Sheba.
What
she, can you cuss on the podcast?
I mean, live your best life, gang.
She was
with this.
Solomon,
She was with this. Yeah.
The baby was his name is Menelik the First, and that's how the Ethiopian line came to be, according to, I would call it mythology because I have not. I learned it in a history class, but
really,
I am
that's
inclined
insane.
Not to believe.
That is insane.
I'm inclined not to believe.
No, I feel that.
But yeah,
just from your own experience, what's the difference between quote unquote like American Christianity and like Ethiopian Christianity?
One of the main parts I would say, like I'm not an expert at it, but I grew up around the church a lot, so I would say one of the main things is that it's pretty similar to Islam than it is to Christianity. Yeah. They fast right now. Actually, they're fasting. It's kind of a vegan type of fasting, but it starts like when you start your day, you don't eat. It depends on like if you can do it till 12, not eat till 12, you can do that. If you can do it till sundown, you can do it. But depending on the level of your capability, you can fast without food, water, as long as you can throughout the day. But for that 55 days that you're fasting, you are going to not eat any animal product, not eat any oily stuff, and eat fully vegan for that time. And they pray like we do. They bow their heads to the ground just like Jesus did as well. They follow the full book of Christianity, like everything there is, and it was translated not from the Greek, but it was translated from the Hebrew Bible. It's not from Aramaic to Hebrew to Greek back to Hebrew. Like the Bibles that you have now, they go from Greek and then the rest is gone and then back to Greek, right? Because like if you know, this is, I think, authentic story I learned in class in my theology course, where the Hellenization era, like that era.
Explain to the people that don't know.
Oh, so Hellenization era was the Greek were dominant in their force, and they came to colonize most of the area of the Middle East and Rome and areas that were very known to be, like valuable, and our like treasure is like Jerusalem is one of them. And once they colonize that area, the Hellenification is basically turning you into a Greek.
Okay.
So you would speak Greek, you would know the language, customs, and things like that. And when they did that, the majority of Jews did not fully immerse themselves in it, but they knew the Greek, they knew their language, they knew the customs, but they still were holding on to their religion, holding on to their faith and traditions. So they saw that, they're like, oh, okay, we want to follow their way. We want to be able to follow their way because it's a very strong tradition. It's a very strong belief system that's beyond our comprehension, and this will help us expand more and keep our people with value. Then they took, I think, 14, something like that, people to Alexandria in Egypt, and they locked them in rooms. Like single rooms. They'll feed them.
Why do they lock them in different rooms?
I'm about to get to
it. Okay.
So they told them to write the Bible. Like these people are known to know the Bible very well in Hebrew, and they know Greek, so they made them write. And they gave them like 30 days. I don't know the number.
30 days to write the Bible?
Something like that.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
We would have to look it up and see how many days they gave them. But they say that miraculously, they all wrote the exact same thing. And that's the Greek Bible that we're using. Like the King James is translated from the Greek. Like the new Bibles are translated from the Greek. So that's the Greek
there was 12 folks that went and memorized the whole Bible. And they just was going, just vibing.
So they say like a divine inspiration allowed them to write it in Greek fully, but it's good to be skeptical. Human make errors.
They were making no errors. That's crazy.
So but the Ethiopian Bible did not come from that line. Plus, they also claim that they have the Ark of was it Solomon?
For what?
The Ark.
Like Noah's Ark?
Noah's Ark.
Oh, okay.
No. The Ark of Covenant. That's what I mean.
Oh.
What am I talking about? When I try to translate what I'm thinking in English, what language do you think in?
Oh, me? Oh, it's English. Yeah, no, I think in English. I was gonna ask you that since you know so many languages. What do you think in?
It depends. Like if I'm talking about like back home stuff, like or Orthodox Christianity, something that I learned in Amharic fully. Like I would start to think in Amharic, and I'm like, I can feel it.
Amharic?
Amharic.
Amharic.
Yeah, Amarinya. So I start thinking Amarinya. In Amharic, it's called Amarinya, but in English they call it Amharic. But,
okay. It's accent. Okay, continue.
I can feel it in my head going like the thoughts are in Amarinya, but.
Wow! Is that irritating?
I'm thinking, huh?
Is that irritating? Like when you are trying to like explain yourself and actually like just speak, the fact that you're just trying to like forcefully translating it like instantaneously.
Yeah. Don't you remember when I was emceeing? I was thinking a different language and it couldn't come out, so I was like, I don't know how to explain this. JJ, cover me.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, no, because I know a lot of friends that have like they're good at not even good. They speak Spanish. They're just Spanish speaking people. And it takes them a second to be like, wait, does that have a translation? And then they have to like really sit and think, what is the translation for this like sentence? Because especially with like English, how like one word can mean like 4 different things. Yeah. But it can mean 100 more different things based on the inflection of the way that you said each of the 4 different ways to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah.
Definitely. Language is not just a way of communication. Language takes on tradition. Language takes on way of life, philosophy, and values.
Mhm.
So sometimes the values that we have, let's say the language of Arabic,
Mhm.
is not the same as English. So if I try to explain to you exactly word to word what Rumi, the Persian poet,
Oh,
wrote
okay.
in
Mhm.
Arabic, in English to you, you wouldn't understand it because there is a certain level of expression from the culture that he comes from that does not align with the English-speaking cultures.
Mhm.
So it's like some things don't have meaning. Arabic has 40 different ways of saying a lion.
Like a lion?
Yeah, a lion, the animal lion, and they don't
Now,
have
why would they have 40 different ways to say a lion?
because the language is so
That's just the way
rich
they
in that,
speak. Okay, I feel it. I
and
feel
they
it.
have like 250 names for camels. That makes sense now through
'Cause
their
the-
tradition.
yeah.
Right? It's like 200 something, 250 something ways of, and each one of them mean different kind of camel. What kind of camel is she? A jamal is like a full idea.
How? Okay.
And so yeah, it's different, and sometimes I don't have translation for it, and I'll be like, there's no word for it. Leave me alone.
I feel it. I feel. What are some philosophies that you hold that you like think about a lot?
If you define yourself, two of them. One is like, if you really give definition to yourself, you're limiting yourself from experiencing more things.
That's fair. That's fair.
And learning more things. So I try to not define myself like, people will judge you especially within African communities. We have our own way of what do you call it? Judging people in a way like, oh wow, he did this, he did that. Oh
You're talking
my
about
god,
African moms?
he's talking
That's literally it.
not just moms, bro. If you're talking to African moms, we have them at St. Thomas too, man.
Yeah, that's fair.
They be judging you, calling you coon and everything like that. I'm like, leave me alone. I'm just being me.
We will hit that. We'll hit that.
Yeah.
But you know what? The identification of a person as like a singular thing has always been so interesting to me, because it's like I feel like that's what sends people down like the wrong hole for a few reasons. One, there's so much more to a person, and there's so much less to a person, and I feel like people don't be peeping that there's so much less to them. I don't think they really understand how like finite and limited just who they are really is, right?
Yeah.
For a couple examples, like let's say you put yourself in just like you're an athlete, right? And then one day you get injured, and then that's just like you just can't be that athlete anymore, and now you're like killing yourself over the fact of who you once was. But it's interesting because it's like, well, what was that your job? No, you're literally just like playing in high school, right?
Definitely.
Interesting, right? Or let's say like they hold themselves to like a political position, right? Let's say like, oh, I'm a Democrat, so everything I believe is just like liberal ideologies, liberal thinking, yada 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 yada. And then it leads them down the path of just like not thinking things all the way through, because they're just like moving on the sole focus of groupthink, right? So their ideas tend to like just melt away in favor of the grander scale of everybody else.
Exactly.
Just telling them what they should or should not even be thinking of, right? And I feel like that's so harmful because of like, I feel like a lot of people they could go so much farther than what they're allowing themselves to, but they just don't want to really like tap into like the other sides of them.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, been there, done that, and it sucks, like holding on to some kind of identity and trying to uphold everything that there is, and you're limiting yourself from experiencing other things and opening yourself up for more opportunities in life. I've done that. Like, I've struggled with the fact that I quit in track.
How was that?
One of the hardest things I've done, because track opened up an outlet for me when I came to the United States. It's a very, very different and strange culture, and the culture shock was real. And track opened up an outlet, something I was really good at, breaking school records and, like winning conference and sections kind of helped me assert myself within society and
And
be
you
able
felt like,
to make
did you
friends.
feel like you were special since you were winning all those things?
No, it's not feeling special. I felt like, oh, okay, I'm just Ethiopian. So that my mindset is I go into it as like when people ask me like what's my times, I'll tell them like slow as times, go as an underdog, but like no, in my mind, I'm Ethiopian. I can run this shit. I can do this. Right?
So it's not even the fact that you even work hard for it. Like, no, bro, it's in my blood. I'm so sorry, bro.
Yeah, but I actually worked hard
No,
a
of
lot.
course,
But,
of course.
yeah, I had that
Real
no
quick.
nonsense mindset.
One thing that I really appreciate from my parents.
Hmm.
So my mom and dad, they did the way that they just like taught me in life
Mm-hmm.
is from two different type of spheres. My mom made everything. She tried to like instill me the idea that everything you must do, you must make the world think that it's just super easy. It is smooth. It is not hard at all. You just wake up and that's just you for real. You chilling all the time, right?
Yeah.
And then my dad was always on the no, you must work so ungodly hard to the point where it's like you're working harder, not smarter, but you're still working so hard, right? So I kind of like put those two things together where it's like you have to like you of course have to work hard, but you can't let the world know that it's hard for real.
You can see it in a way where it's like, oh, if you can't let the world know how hard it is, like they can't recognize how much effort you put into it, because that does kind of matter in a capitalist world. But you know, if you're in a capitalist world, like, you know, fighting kind of because it's like, yeah, we can sit here and talk about Eastern philosophy and letting go and not you know, not caring about what other people think and just like doing your own thing and like internalizing your accomplishment. But in this kind of society where, you know, what you have done really does matter, and if you want to make it feel it's gonna give you leverage to your future, you gotta sometimes brag, which I don't like. So it's like, yeah, sometimes you gotta let them know how hard it is to get there. Like
See,
Kobe.
see, no, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Of course, it's okay. I feel like it comes more from a place where it's like people admire what is easy more than they admire what is hard. Like, I feel like subconsciously everyone knows how much work it takes for you to, like, for example, play the piano, right? But they don't want to see you struggling. They want to see you going and sitting at that piano and going fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That's what they're like striving for. That's how they know that you're good at it. The fact that it looks so easy. That's what they're holding on to.
Okay, now I think, yeah, now I understand your perspective. I think, yeah, make it look easy. Yeah,
Make everything
definitely.
just like look easy. Do you connect with people easy?
Yes, I do, and no, I don't at the same time. I mean, at the moment, I don't know why I'm kind of a little anxious here and there socially. Slowly developed that, but coming here, like not having any kind of mindset at all, just free and always out there. Like I was very open and trying to learn new things, trying to learn about people, and I can connect to people easily. Not as much anymore. Either I'm just growing up, or I'm just like realizing the bullshit of Minnesotans, I guess.
What do you mean by that?
Like I feel like when I am out there trying to connect with people, I am not like I was oblivious to the facade of people put out there. Like kind of ties back into like that individual identity that we were talking about. People have a strong sense of self and like what they think they are, and they act in a way, they play a character. Let's say they play like we're in some sort method acting of what people think of us, not even what we think. Actually, no. What we think other people think of us. So like we're kind of lost in method acting, right? It's like we don't even know if people think of it that way. We're just thinking that they are thinking of us that way, and that's you know, that's the problem. And that kind of like, you know, you can slowly start seeing through that facade and start learning like not everybody is your friend. Start learning that people are not really willing and open to, you can go to a market in Nigeria and really connect with someone about just one topic, and the next thing you know, you're having tea with their family like in the afternoon, right? You can't really do that here. I was oblivious to all of that. I didn't care.
Okay.
I was out there. It doesn't matter white, black, Asian. I'm trying to learn your language. Come here. What are you? And here it's not really like that. People are very closed off, and they have they have a certain mindset. They will play. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, yeah, you can say it's being themselves, right? But at the same time, it's like, okay, like, I'm going to be a closed off person, but I'm going to do this and do this and do this. And just because I do this, others also are like this. Because, okay, he's a surf bro. What does he do? He does this, he does this, he does this. That's his thing, right? Is this real? I'm not sure. My high school was not really like that, but high school movies, there are the popular kids, there are the athletes, there are the nerds, there are the, you know what I mean?
Let me
the dorks.
Yeah, let me kick some game. I feel like the high school experience, it differs a lot, especially depending on size and the area, geographically where you're at, right? Like movies such as I want to say American Pie, but have you ever seen those teen movies that are super big houses, everyone's OD rich, everyone's people, they seem for example Euphoria. Okay, I feel like there is some schools that are like that are genuinely motherfuckers doing drugs, motherfuckers doing this, motherfuckers is fucking all that shit, drinking, right? Yeah. And then when you compare that to other areas, in the United States, then it gets kind of different, right?
Okay.
But with the hard cutoffs, there are hard cutoffs when you are looking from the outside inward. But if you are in that group, it's not such a hard cutoff. Because there's always a few people per group that just move around with all of they're just cool with everybody. So there is that type of person where they're able to just blend in with all the supposed groups.
Yeah.
And for example, with a school like this, right? It's actually pretty interesting. Because I feel a lot of high school vibes when I'm in a school.
That's what I was trying to bring it back to.
Yeah. But it's more I feel like it's because of we're interacting with so many people with so much money. And like I was saying before in the car, when you, with capitalism and individualism, we've got to the point where if you have money, you can shape the world the way you exactly want. And you don't really have to listen to people you don't want to listen to, especially when you have money, because it's you're going to tell me what I have to do.
Yeah.
You know what? You just won't come to my party. I will just hang out with my friends that think just like I do, and we can go all have fun in our own areas.
Yeah, exactly. Which I don't like. I don't like territorial people.
Okay.
I don't like territorial people in a sense that, okay, yeah, you want to do your own thing and not interact with me, but just don't sit there and assume that I am this, I'm this, I'm this. I am more than that. I've lived crazy ass life. I have a crazy life story, and I've experienced a lot of things, and I'm willing to experience more things. I could be a nerd, but I could also be a cool ass dude who is socially,
I could be with the hoes, bro.
Yeah. So I could, that's what I mean. I could be a skater boy, but I could also be a spiritual nigga that goes to church or that goes to the mosque and do things. But I feel like there's a sense of limiting labels that people still put. We are old, we
grown
are
as
grown
hell.
as men. We're oh, he's this, she is that. That's what I'm seeing now. It's I'm so oblivious. I'm telling you, I'm so oblivious to this. After 5 years, I'm realizing, oh, this exists?
Yeah, bro, that should be blowing me. How people are still doing that quote unquote territorial stuff, right? But then I'm able to look back at my high school, right? And just realize that those borders that they try to make between friend groups, it should have popped Because the type of people that are hanging out today, if they would have told me that shit back in like my freshman year of high school, it was like, no, that's not real. Their ideas that you're having of these people are not real ideas. They're not held onto by like he's an athlete or like she's one of the skinny pretty white girls. Like that's not real. These are all social constructs that you are forcing down people's throats to become this idea of the person that you want to see more than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my high school did not have skinny white girls, so I can tell you that. It was like 80%. We had 5 white people in my graduating class. That tells you everything that you need to know. You know,
we had in my class. There was no one that was white. Actually, no, there was one. There was one girl, but she didn't really count because she was like native. She was like native, and I think she was part Spanish too. So it was like, does it really count? No, not really. But
I mean, Spanish people are white people. Are you talking about?
That's another conversation. Oh no, not the Spain folk. Nah, not Spaniards. I'm talking about.
Like Hispanic.
Yeah, like Hispanic. Yes.
Let's get politically correct here, man. You don't want to get canceled.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair. Motherfuckers checked me on that shit too. But hey.
I mean. Spanish-speaking country, like there is an African country that's Spanish.
I be forgetting, bro. Whole time we're talking about the Dominican Republic, but that's a whole other conversation. All right,
they say they're not black people, they're Latinos.
All right, y'all. If you've been this far, leave a like, a comment, all that, and we out.